Hello, learners. Hope you are keeping well. Today, we will be actually looking at Mapwork again, and we'll be looking at the working out of your grid reference. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the first page, grid reference itself. So let me first get my highlighter, and I always like highlighting the main topic for today. All right, so let's look at it now. Now, before we actually start working out the grid reference, it is so important to actually know the basics that you will need in order to work out the grid reference. So one of the things you need to look at is the conversion from degrees to minutes to seconds. Okay, now I have it here. 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes. All right, and 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. We need to know that in order to work out the grid reference. Now, there's another area we notice learners mix up the line of latitude and the line of longitude. Now, you see this 26 degrees, 45 minutes. That's your degree. And this 45 refers to this area here. And then, of course, after that, it's 46. You'll see a, a area, I would say a rectangle, can't use the word block, a rectangle with a line in the middle, and then you'll see one with no line. Okay, that tells you that's the next one, and then the following one will have a line in the middle, the next one won't, so you can clearly see the change in the minutes. You notice it turned to 46. So this is 1 minute. Right. Now, this is the line of latitude, the horizontal lines, all right, found on the map. Okay, cutting across from west to east. Okay, that's how our lines run across. All right, now when we look at this side, we see another figure here 29 degrees, and this is 00 minutes. Okay, this now refers to the line of longitude, the vertical lines that cut across. Okay, so we need to know that clearly. Which one is the horizontal lines, which refers to the latitude, and the vertical lines, which refer to the longitude. Same here. Can you see it? This is blank. All right. And then it turns to 1 degree. So this whole thing is from 0 to 1. It's 1 minute rather, not degree. All right. Correction. It's 1 minute from there to there. So it's 0 here and it's 1 there. All right. That's something we need to know about. Now I know there's some maps that will come where this block is cut into little pieces. You understand? All right, where you can work out even grid reference by looking at that. In our maps, we've got it like this. So we have to calculate certain things in order to get the grid reference. But I'll talk about that later. There's one more thing you need to note, all right? That if I have the Greenwich meridian, okay, I did my G nicely, which is 0 degrees. Oh, I'm impressed with myself. And then we have the equator, all right, which of course is also 0 degrees. And we look at where South Africa is situated. All right. So South Africa is situated here where we south of the equator. Can you see it? South of the equator. And we east of the Greenwich meridian. That is why in grid reference you have south and east. South referring to the latitudes, where it's situated south of the equator, and east refers to the Greenwich meridian. It's situated green or east of the Greenwich meridian, which is your lines of longitude. All right, have you got that? Now, because we are moving from the equator and away from the equator towards the polar regions, the numbers or the minutes and degrees will increase from 0 degrees and moves away 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, and so on. All right. It's the same with the Greenwich meridian, which is 0 degrees. As we move away, what happens? It increases. So our numbers increase east here, making a nice mess of this diagram. I have to use this because my writing with the thin pen is not working. Right? So that increases east, and this lines of latitude increase south. Okay, that is where we got our east and our south. I hope you could see that. Writing with that pen, my hand shakes too much. I think it's my age. All right, so that's how we got the east and the south. So very, very important. And of course, if you want to find for this, where the line of longitude and the line of latitude meet, right, it gives us the grid reference or the position of that, and we can measure it. Okay, that's it. All right, now let's go on. So grid reference is actually where lines of latitude and longitude intersect. Okay, that's where we're finding it. It usually gives us the position of the place. All right, grid reference gives us the position of the place. So if I want to find something on a map and I say, okay, let me work out the grid reference. Or if I find out, actually, on one hand, I want to know to give somebody the reference so they can find the place. All right, I look at the map, I find the feature, and then I work out the grid reference. Okay, and that's how I say, okay, if you use this grid reference, you will get to the place using the map. Okay, so it's quite interesting that everything in geography works out. All right, so we use the lines of latitude and longitude. As I say, they must intersect. As we already said, lines of latitude measure distance north and south of the equator. All right, as I showed you in the diagram. But in South Africa, it will be south, straight, because that's where we situated. Just doing a little revision of what I explained just now. Longitudes measure the distance from west to east of the Greenwich meridian. But South Africa will be east, as I've indicated. That's where we situated. All right, we situated east of the Greenwich meridian, and we situated south of the equator. All right. Now, degrees of latitude and longitude are indicated at the top and the bottom corners, right, along the east-west edges of the full map. Okay, that's where we showed it to you also. Can you see it? That's where it's situated. All right, so you can look for it there. Of course, the measurements go on in minutes, etc. But you know that's the starting point. You look and you can go down. All right. Now we've done all this. We're ready now to work it out. Okay, so we already learned that will increase in the easterly direction. That will increase in that. Now, what do I mean by that? The longitudes will increase in the easterly direction, and the latitudes, these are the latitudes, all the horizontal lines will increase in the southerly direction. Now I say, determine the grid reference of spot height 1146. There we have it here. All right. Now, let's look at what we know already. Let's forget about that millimeters down there. Let's look at what we know already. I don't want to become part of the grid reference. All right, let me put my face here. So let's see what we know already. We already know that we have the grid reference in terms of the minutes and the degrees. There we have it here, degrees and minutes. We also have for longitude the degree and minutes. Okay, we have it there. Right. But we don't know the seconds. All right. And at this point, I want to tell you, learners, don't work out in point of a minute. All right. The correct way, and now the only acceptable way, is to work in degrees, minutes, and seconds. All right. Is that clear, learners? All right. I know it was accepted in the past, but it's not being accepted now. Okay, and it's a correct decision. It should be in degrees, minutes, and seconds. Okay, so I have this here, but I don't know the seconds of each one. So what do I do? All right, with a pencil, if I'm using a map, not with a red pen. Okay, I draw a line, vertical line, cutting across the dot, because spotite has a dot. Cut across that. If they say the point towards an arrow, the end of the arrow. If it's a trig beacon, it's at the apex of the trig beacon. All right, so I'm cutting through that point, all right, on the spotlight with a vertical line. Make sure it's perpendicular, it's straight, all right? And then I cut with a horizontal line through there. Can you see it? Horizontal line. Now, this is where some people make a mistake. Remember, this is the latitude, and this is the latitude. All right? Can you see it there? And we are now want to measure for the latitude, and therefore we'll measure up to that point for the latitude. All right. In this case, of course, it's been exaggerated. So it's not like 12 millimeters there. I made it bigger to explain it. So I measured 12 millimeters to that point. All right. 12 millimeters. And I've got it there. All right. Now, we know for lines of this distance between the lines of latitude for a minute, all right, is 37 millimeters. All right, it's always 37 millimeters. In fact, an interesting point, it's made 37. I think it's about 36.8 around there is actually the correct thing, but to make things easier, map drawers have made it 37. So always the distance between those lines of latitude will be 37 millimeters, which represents 1 minute, as we showed you. All right, from there is 35, here is 36. All right, so we've got that. So we measured here. Now, what do? We take the 12 and divide it by the measurement of the block, which is 37 millimeters. All right, 37 millimeters. So we get, in terms of measurement and things, the point of the block in terms of minutes. The point in point something minutes will come across. Okay, now this is in minutes. What we have to do is convert it into seconds. So how do we convert it into seconds? We multiply it by the 60 seconds, because a whole block is 1 minute. All right. So therefore, 1 minute is 60 seconds. Okay, can you see the importance of knowing the conversions? Yes, and eventually we get an answer of 19.45 seconds. Now, when we want to see where the point is in terms of longitude, we know it is 12. Yes, 12, but it's not on the 12 line. It's 12 something. So we measure from there to the dot. And in this case, I gave it the measurement of 14 millimeters. As I said, this thing has been exaggerated. Now, in this case, all right, the size of the area of the block, all right, is 33 millimeters from 1 minute to the next. All right, so the 33 millimeters, as we can say, is actually covering 1 minute. Okay, so what do we do now? We take the 14 millimeters, which is the distance here, and divide by the 33 to get point of a minute. All right. And there we then take it and multiply it by 60 seconds in order to convert it to seconds. And here we are converted to seconds. Obviously, this is below 5. We can make it 90. If it's 5 and above, it becomes 20. All right, 0.5 and above rather. And again, in this case, this is 0.45. It's below 0.5. So we leave it as 25. We don't have to put in the decimals. All right, but we have to work accurately. All right, because there's little deviation given for you. If it's a bit too far, it's off. Like 0.1 of a minute is given off between the two areas. So you can't just draw your lines in any way and expect you to get the correct answer. If the deviation is more than 0.1 of a minute, the answer is marked wrong. So we worked out now our grid reference. And this is a methodology. Once again, I'm saying to you, it must be degrees, minutes, and seconds. It can't be 27 minutes, 12.2. 27 degrees, 12.2 minutes. No, you must have degrees, minutes, and seconds. Okay, learners. Now, there's one more step here. All right, I say state the feature found at the grid reference. Now, you are given the grid reference. All right, you are given the grid reference. Now, you have to convert it to a point of a minute. So how will I do that? All right. I know it's 19 and this should have been, and I do apologize, it should be 19 seconds. There should be 2 lines here, right? Not 1 line. Okay, 2 lines. And let me correct that. All right. So that we don't have any confusions. All right. I'm going to try something today. Okay, let's see if I can do it. So it's 1 and it's 2. 19 seconds. I do apologize for that. All right. See, I'm getting a bit old. You can see the gray hair on the sides. Okay, so 19 seconds. Divide by 60 seconds and we get our point of a minute if we do that. All right. Now you can do it straight. So 19 seconds divide by 60 seconds. Now we want to find what will be the measurement in millimeters. We know the block is 37 millimeters. So we want our answer in that. So this is going to be a fraction of 37 millimeters. So it's 19 seconds divided by 60 seconds multiplied by the size there between the 2 lines of latitude, which is 37. It gives me an answer of 11.71. Please note, it won't give me a total answer of 12 millimeters because we left out, and let me show you that, we left out this 0.45 and this 0.45. We just made it 25 and 19. So what happened here? Of course, 11.71 centimeters. If you bring it to just your whole numbers, it becomes 12. Can you see it? Right. Let's do the same for this one. All right. It was 25 minutes. So 25, I got it correct. I put the seconds. Well done, well done. I must pat myself on the back there. Okay. And of course, divide by 60 seconds, right? Regarding that. So we 25 divided by 60 for conversion. And now we multiply it by 33 millimeters. Can you see 33 millimeters? That's the distance between the lines of longitude, and that 33 millimeters represents 1 minute. Okay, so we, of course, the second signs will cancel off. 25 divided by 60 times 33 gives me an answer of 13.75 millimeters. Now, obviously, as I said, it's not full 14 because we left out that 0.45 seconds. So, but if you convert this to just whole numbers, it becomes 14. Can you see what happened here now, learners? Can you see that? We brought it back to the 12 and the 14 as we measured that. And that is why I put it here. So I measure between the lines of latitude, which is 12, and now I draw the line. After I measure, I draw the line. Can you see it? All right. Now, between the lines, that's between the lines of latitude, between the lines of longitude, starting from 12, we have to start from 12 because 12 something. From the 12 line, I measure this 14 millimeters, and then I draw my line, and where it intersects, can you see it? It tells me that the feature is spot height. I'm going to just draw this. 1, 1, 4. Beautiful. 0. And there we got our answer. Can you see it? So it works backwards here now. Learner's grid reference is not a difficult section. We just need to, again, to know the basics, conversions from degrees to minutes to seconds. We need to know why the thing is east, because for longitude, because it increases east from the Greenwich meridian. All right, we need to know why it's south for the latitudes, because it increases from the equator in a southerly direction. We need to know which is our lines of latitude, which is our lines of longitude. Now, just one more thing, learners, please keep it in this order. Show the latitude first and the longitude second. All right, please do it this way. And then you ensure that you put the south and the east. South is referring to your latitudes, and east is referring to your longitudes. I hope it made it a little clearer for you, learners. All the best. Goodbye.